Hello everybody, with only a couple of weeks to go to the big day, we really need to sort out our turkey and how we're going to cook the turkey in the wood-fired oven, and that's what we're going to show you this week on Wood-Fired Weekly. And we've got everything ready, we've got the oven set up ready, and that's going to be the really important thing, is understanding how you need to set up the oven for the perfect turkey. So, I've preheated the oven. I've allowed it to cool a little bit. I didn't really heat it all the way up, so maybe I fired this one for a little over an hour. And I've got it sat now at a sort of gentle 5 Mississippi, 180 and falling down from below 180 degrees. Over on one side, just behind the little fire retainer, I've got a few glowing embers, and that's because I want to add some hickory smoke. If you cook a turkey inside, it'll usually say 180 degrees in your oven. For my 4 kilogram turkey here, it would be saying 2 hours, 50 minutes. We're going to be cooking it a little bit more gently than that, to try and retain as much of that precious moisture as we possibly can. And as you can see, I've been doing a little bit of pre-preparation here because I've brined my turkey for 24 hours. And I know controversy rages about whether we need to bother brining our turkey or not. But for want of a pot of water with a bit of salt, it's such an easy thing to do. Why not do it anyway? And the theory is that moisture is absorbed by the bird, and therefore we have more moisture to work with, and we're much less likely to dry out our turkey. So I made a brine with salt, and I put in some black treacle because we've got a glut of black treacle. So it's sort of part of the cure and the flavouring. I also added some star anise, some cinnamon, a couple of lemons and oranges that were lying around, and a bit of onion. And now I want to make sure this is really nice and dry. So I'm going to take off as much of this moisture as possible. I'm not going to stuff the bird because we don't want to cook it for any longer than we need to cook the meat. Otherwise we can start drying it out. So I'm going to cook the meat nice and slowly and retain moisture. If I've then also got to cook another kilo of stuffing as well, that's all the meat cooking for longer than is necessary, and we're losing moisture. So I'll be cooking my stuffing as stuffing balls on the side. Now I've got some pieces of soft butter here ready to push in and under the skin, whilst trying not to do too much damage. So I'm going to sort of work that away from the meat a little. So you can see where we've got that all nicely covered inside there. And over the top of all of that, I've got a little lattice of bacon. That's adding another layer of fat. And turkey, of course, is not a fat bird. It doesn't carry a lot of fat. So that's why we're adding this fat, to cook the meat with lots of fatty moisture. And I want that over the breasts and over the top of the thighs. Beautiful. So I haven't seasoned it, as you noticed, but the bird will have picked up lots of salt from the brine. So all of that has been pre-dealt with. So that's pretty much ready to go in the oven. And I'm going to put a little bit of thyme around the place. Nothing terribly fancy, and a few veggies in there. And over those vegetables, I'm just going to liberally slosh some olive oil. Lovely, there we are. One bronze turkey ready to go in the oven. So I'm sliding that in, and then here I've got some hickory, which I've been soaking for half an hour or so in some water. I don't think it's going to combust. There's much chance of it combusting anyway, but that will absolutely make sure. I'm going to pop those onto the embers so that in the first hour or so these will smoulder away and give us a nice extra bit of seasoning. I'm going to pop the door on just leant back so the flue is open, so that any smoke can billow over the bird and then drift away. We don't want it sat around and stagnating, and I don't want the heat to come up too much in the oven either. So if the door is on just loosely, I still get a little bit of air circulation. The turkey's had 1 hour and 10 minutes, just over an hour. There's still a little bit of smoke billowing around there from my hickory, and we can see that the bacon has done its business and let out lots of fat into there. So I'm going to take that off now so that it browns up a little bit, and then we'll spin that around. Skin's getting nice and crispy, and pop that in, and in about another half an hour or so I'll just take the temperature and see how things are moving along. Our turkey's been in the oven for just under 2 hours, and we're going to have a look. Absolutely fantastic colour. That'll be a little bit from the brine that we put it in with the treacle, but a little bit from the smoke that we added, the hickory that was billowing around, and of course from the oven. Nice and crispy on the skin, and I'm going to push the thermometer in down here, and we want a minimum of 70 degrees. And remember, we were thinking this size turkey, normal recommendation 2 hours 50 minutes. We put it in a falling oven, so the temperature was dropping away from 180, so that we brought it up to temperature relatively gently, and down there we're at 74 degrees after 2 hours. So everything cooked beautifully, and we haven't done this in a hotter oven, but we're 50 minutes ahead of what the normal recommendation would be. Your wood-fired oven is a 360 degree, three-dimensional heating element, pushing heat in from every direction at the same time. So we normally say to people, you know, look at 2/3, 3/4 of the regular cooking time for a large piece of meat like this. And hopefully that means less time in the oven, less evaporation, juicier meat, absolutely delicious. Plus the addition of a little bit of smoke, it's going to be fantastic. So there we have it, Christmas turkey cooked in the wood-fired oven. Please give this a go. You'll really enjoy it, and you'll enjoy the delicious flavours that come out of the wood-fired oven. Thanks for watching this video. We'll provide the recipe and notes on our blog, and there'll be a link to that below. If you like these videos and want to see more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a happy Christmas, and we'll see you next time.